Good hour. Ben Ennis is here. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. So do you.
Thanks. Really?
This is my last show this week. Yeah, look good.
Oh my God. It is your last show this week.
Yeah.
I'm so envious.
Yeah. You just had a bunch of days off.
Yeah, I know. I want to get more
Yeah,
days off.
Dude, the worst part of winter is getting out of bed in the morning and knowing that you have to step 1 foot outside, even if it's just to your car.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if you're taking one step into the dark, cold ice.
Yeah.
You might, don't slip. Day like today is a slip day, right? Because it was all wet, gross,
It's very
slushy.
much a slip day.
And then today, freezing cold through the night. You get out there, you're a little too tired, you're a little too overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to work in those new boots you bought on a Black Friday sale.
Yeah. I wish there was
Down
like a
you
way
go.
to like bet on Polymarket, like how many people will slip.
God, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. Because today is absolutely
Huge slip day.
biggest
You'd be
slip day.
rushing to the Poly Market today.
If they
You waking
had it-
up like, oh, I slept in. Because you got to get the people who are up first.
Right. You're
Especially,
right. Yeah.
especially since a lot of construction workers who are in the boots.
Oh my God, yeah. You're
Yeah,
so
if you
right.
miss it, if it's like you sleep past 5:30, you've already missed the Poly Market for the slips.
So what do you?
Because you've missed the elderly going to the
Yeah.
mall
Oh my God.
and the construction workers wearing the clunky boots.
Well, and the kids going to school too.
Yep. There
Yeah.
you go. Well, no, kids don't go to school that time, do they?
Uh,
Kids go to school. Doesn't school start now? I thought the whole thing with school was becoming that it's way too hard on kids. So there's not anything actually being taught. They just have like different days where they wear pajamas and every day is like a theme day. But then they go to school at like 10 a.m. and they get out at like noon. And they're all sick all the time. So they all just leave.
Oh well, that's true. They
Yeah.
are all sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids were
Yeah,
just sick.
so I think that's gone. Is when we were growing up, I legitimately used to do all the tricks. Like I would put the lamp to my forehead and try to heat it up
Yeah.
so that I would be able to fake a fever. I once threw like Alphagetti or whatever the canned
Yeah.
spaghetti food was. I once dumped some in the toilet and I was like, look at
That's
this vomit.
pathetic.
And it was like, that's full letters of the alphabet. it's 7 a.m. and you obviously didn't eat that. But like you had to work for it.
Yeah.
Now your kid can just be like, I have anxiety today. And you're like, I guess you're off for the week.
Other kids, not my kids.
No?
I mean,
I don't know. You've called
the school
Oh,
will
I
allow
don't
it,
know.
but I have a very
I
good
don't
example
know.
to
I
give
don't
you.
know.
So my kids, yeah, they have been home sick. One of the like when you vomit the night before, you get the day off school.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
right?
No,
That's-
you earned it.
Yeah, that was a
You
legit.
earned it. Yeah.
I really wish you'd made the bathroom. You were right
No doubt.
at the entry of
Honestly,
the,
though,
of
if you
the
don't
bathroom.
make
Why
it,
couldn't you
if
have?
you don't make it, that's that's even more sympathy.
Yeah, like you were 10 steps away. Why couldn't you have made it? Anyways, yeah, you're sick. Hard to argue. But then you recovered. You know, you had some recovery days and doing okay. And so much so that you were at school that week. But then, you know, an hour later, we get the phone call. And that is where you're on to it. Like, there is no pushback, right? Like, you say you're sick, home
The
you go.
teachers are
Off
ready
you
for
go.
Yeah.
But I listen, not to take a victory lap here, not to toot my own horn. What I got after about 30 minutes of home time and me like some like scowly looks was an apology and like a tearful statement of a feeling of guilt
Yeah, I
that
like
maybe
that.
I wasn't sick enough
Yeah.
to ask to come home. So
Dude,
get-
you're getting the guilt in them hard, eh?
oh yeah, buddy. I didn't even say
Wow.
anything. I just like he could sense.
Yeah.
Like he could sense what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And you know, right? Like, you know, your parents are feeling a certain way about something you done.
Oh, I know.
You don't have to say anything.
Yeah, no.
I didn't. And he, after some sober
That
self-reflection,
probably felt good for you watching your child weep.
I felt incredible.
Yeah.
I like sometimes you don't know, you put in the hard work, right?
Yeah.
Like you lift those weights and
Yeah.
sometimes you just never get a chance to utilize the skills that you think you've gained.
Yeah.
But no, in that moment it was so rewarding.
Yeah, that's nice. That feels good. That feels good knowing you made a kid cry.
Yeah. My own kid.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
kids can cry, okay?
yeah.
They're allowed to feel bad.
So who do you think hates Steve Cohen and David Stearns more? It's David Stearns, right? The Mets GM? Mets fans?
Yes.
Mets fans
Yeah.
in one corner or Blue Jays fans?
I think it's definitely Mets fans.
I hate them a lot. They let Edwin Diaz go to think about. So I watched my buddy Carabas' show yesterday. Like he did this because he was really pissed off about the Red Sox, which I want to get into because they have been gassed up by insiders and in their little ecosystem bubble of Red Sox stuff.
Yeah.
They've been sold this whole idea of Boston's going to get guys. Boston's going to get guys. And two of the guys that they really wanted were Schwarber and Alonso, who signed, who went off the board.
Correct.
And I got another.
And now they're out on Bo, apparently.
I'll get to that. But he mentioned how it affects, like, these free agent signings affect more than just the two teams involved.
Right.
That it's other teams' plans get shifted. And that is the Boston Red Sox in this case, that they wanted Pete Alonso, but apparently their offer was Mickey Mouse. Yeah. And he goes to the Baltimore Orioles. So Orioles fans are excited because they get the polar bear, guy who's probably going to hit 35 to 40 home runs for them next season.
Criminally underrated.
Yeah,
for some reason.
I know. I got another thing on this. Mets fans are pissed because they lose their guy, even though it's funny because the Mets just went through like the worst season ever. Yeah. And all their fans are so mad that they lost all the guys that were responsible for the season. Anyway.
More on like the pitching side of things.
Sure. Yeah. My only point is it's kind of funny to watch them be like, how dare they break up the team we hate?
Yeah, the 183 games.
But that it's also Jays fans are impacted because there's a better slugger in their division. And all of a sudden I'm looking at the Orioles lineup saying, that's better than ours. That's better. Okay, well, whatever. You can
compare it. No, it's very good.
Yeah,
and offense wasn't their problem last year.
Sure. And then I'm looking at the Diaz thing, and he goes to the Dodgers. And I hate the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. I've told you already that I would rather the Yankees get guys than the Dodgers get guys.
Sure.
That's how deep the hatred has run now. And so I'm looking at the Mets and their cheapness. And now, because they're desperate and because they've let these guys go, I'm assuming they're going to be in on Kyle Tucker or that they might go up to Bo Bichette. I'm just saying these things now feel more on the table to me because they didn't just lock up the guys that I either didn't want or didn't think the Blue Jays were going to get. And so there's a ripple effect to all of this that's making me a little uncomfortable.
Maybe the Kyle Tucker of it all is interesting because, I don't know if it's like maybe there is some penny pinching and David Stern's like, hey, I know you could just go get everybody, but look at what I did with the Brewers.
Yeah.
Trade away Josh Hader in a pennant chase. I did see Bob
Nightingale say that he was like, they tried it Steve Cohen's way and it failed spectacularly and now he wants to do it that way. But I go, is that really a thing? Like you really want to be the money ball GM?
What you want to do is the Andrew Friedman thing where it's like, look at what I did with the Rays. Now give me all the money. Look how much better and easier this is.
Yes.
Like, no duh. But I don't know. The left-handed,
like, are these guys really evaluating themselves on WAR per dollar versus we won the World Series?
Yeah, I don't know. And obviously, so much of his thinking is, hey, don't worry about getting better pitchers. We're just gonna get better defenders. All the crappy pitchers are gonna stay, and we're just gonna first base defense is where there's a huge inefficiency with our first base defense. That's where we're gonna get better. Forgoing the 38 homers that Pete Alonso and the lock to play 150 games every year. Now we need the defense of Don Mattingly at first base. That's the most important thing. And ignore Marcus Semien being 1,000 years old and like a 650 OPS fella now. Plays great defense at second base. That's going to make up the difference in the pitching. Anyways, I think it's still Mets fans are most angry at that front office. It is funny though for a team that failed so spectacularly was 20 games over 500 first half of the year and then misses the playoffs because the Reds got in over them. How upset the fan base is that they didn't bring back the core
That's
of the team.
That's why I think we're entitled to feel more upset about this because I want the Mets to be challengers to the Dodgers and I'm rooting for, here's my favorite team, Blue Jays. Who is my second favorite team? Everybody competing with the Dodgers.
Right.
And you got the Brewers. Okay. What are they doing? Nothing.
Brewers aren't.
The Brewers aren't a thing. No. But McKee and I went to that Brewers game.
Freddie Peralta.
We went to that Peralta versus Bieber game where the two of them dueled and Bieber gave up the one home run and it was basically game over because both guys were on their game. And we sat in the seats and I looked at him and I said, this Brewers team is perfect for winning one playoff round and then losing to the Dodgers. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
The Mets are supposed to be the big money spender that puts pressure on the Dodgers and says, no, you're not getting that guy. We're going to outbid you for that guy.
Yeah.
They're supposed to put pressure on the Yankees. The Blue Jays are now entering that echelon as well, where they put pressure on these other teams. And we'll see. There's going to be a little bit of, I have another thing on this, but we'll judge them based on the results of this offseason and what they actually accomplished outside of Dylan Cease. But you look at the Padres, they got the ownership thing. They don't look like they're going to spend as much money. I said the Brewers are the Brewers. Who else is even there in the conversation for like the Giants? The Giants are always, we're going to get somebody, and then they sign Matt Chapman or they sign Justin Verlander. And this offseason, maybe they're going to sign Max Scherzer. Like, they're kind of pretenders. So it's the one team, the Mets. The Mets are supposed
the Phillies.
Sure, but
and
they
brought back Schwarber.
Great. The Phillies are going to run it back. The same choker team that choked horrendously. Great. You catch the fever, Phillies fans. You get to watch the team that you hate again. I hate the Mets. I thought the Mets were going to be a team that spent some money and put some pressure on the Dodgers, and they're not. And not only did they not put pressure on them, they let their probably Hall of Fame closer go to.
That one's a weird one because it's like, really? Did he choose, or was it like $3 million that held up his return to the Mets? It seemed pretty clear that he made the decision to be a Dodger as opposed to a Met. And it wasn't necessarily a money thing.
But if they would have given him real money and just done the
blown the doors off. Yeah.
If my understanding of the Mets and Steve Cohen, based on last year, was supposed to be, and a guy, he guaranteed a World Series within 5 years.
Yeah,
my thought was, he's the owner that goes, that's cool, you want to play for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But write down on this paper what it's going to take for you to stay a Met, and you will be and do we have a deal?
Right.
And Edwin Diaz goes, this much?
Well, and
sheepishly, and he's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because money means nothing to me.
And it's a little different with the Alonso of it all, because it seemed pretty clear that they played hardball with him last year. They took him down to the wire, and they called his bluff, and he's like, you know what? You're right. I don't want to be a Blue Jay. I want to be a Met. And that's fine. And like, obviously they have a hate on for Pete Alonso for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's something about him that they don't like. They do not think he's going to age well, seems to be the overriding premise.
Sure. The first baseman slugger who doesn't walk a ton and doesn't play great defense, got it. So what? It's 38 homers a season, right? And he plays all the
runs leader.
He plays all the games. Yeah, he's an institutional player for you. He's a fan favorite. All he's done is answer the bell. Has big postseason moments against Devin Williams, one of the most exciting home runs in recent playoff history. George Springer's Game 7 ALCS home run. Anyways, so like, he's in a different category. Edwin Diaz, all he's done has been amazing.
Yeah. These guys weren't the problem for your team, why they fell apart, basically, is what we're driving at.
Yeah. No, the Diaz one, okay, you're right. Yeah, it should have, because him only getting a 3-year deal coming off the 5-year deal.
We were talking about $100 million. And
that's what he got in his previous deals, $102 million over 5 years.
Yeah, and then this one, what did he sign for? 60-some million?
$23 million a year, so $69 million. Yeah, $23 million a year over 3 years.
With some money deferred.
Yeah, a little bit, I think.
Yeah, for a year.
Yeah. No, you couldn't just tacked on an extra year to that. 2 years. You're Steve Cohen.
Yeah.
You're literally, nobody's richer than you in North American pro sports. It's like, this is such a pittance of a line item you don't even notice on your balance sheet. And you're supposed to be the guy that doesn't view the team as a money-making endeavor like pro sports team owners are supposed to look at it. You just look at it as a fun little toy thing that, down the line, if you really want to make money off it, you sell it. You understand that. But Edwin Diaz feels like that's the example of that. Maybe not Pete Alonso, because again, for whatever reason, they hate Pete Alonso. They hate his guts.
Okay, but this is where I'm going today, is all the trickle-down effect things and lessons you can learn. So I hate that Diaz goes to the Dodgers. Now there's the Blue Jays trickle of it all is the American League East is more competitive because the Orioles signed a premier bat.
Yep.
And it wasn't a guy that returned to that team. You also now have the Red Sox and the Yankees pressure level rising to a place that is becoming pretty uncomfortable for their fan bases and has to be for their ownership groups.
Yeah.
And guys that they're in on, I would say, still include very much Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker. I don't know if the Jays are in on Bellinger, but it would seem pretty clear that they are now one of the front runners for Kyle Tucker.
You think the Yankees are in on Tucker?
Yeah, I had Jim Bowden on yesterday. He said that they're the number 2. Jim called it almost exactly with the Diaz thing in terms of the Yankees and the Dodgers being silent in all these rumors is actually should make you a little nervous. That they're in on guys. They're not. They might cry poor to the public, but they're not going to be afraid to spend, and they know they need to spend, and they want to spend. So, and then you have a situation with the Blue Jays that I wonder if they're looking at that Pete Alonso thing, and it goes to that same sort of divide, which is Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro have their valuations of players. That's clear. And they will go outside of them. Like, I'm sure they don't value Dylan Cease as the 6th highest starting pitcher in all baseball.
They did a Steve Cohen thing with Dylan Cease.
Correct. But also that a part of that you have to assume was we have no starting pitchers signed beyond this season. And as the prices rise on a multitude of players, this will hopefully slot in as something that's a pretty appropriate price. Once it reaches year 2, 3. And also Cease, fairly young.
Yeah.
They were
durable.
Durable. There were a lot of reasons to buy into him. And it kind of did fit their MO, right? This is what they did with Berrios. This is what they did with Gossman. They like those free agents who are long track record of not just results, but also health.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Got it. Bo has a little Pete Alonso to him.
Oh, for sure he does.
Where it's, are you perfect? No. Are you a spectacular defender? No. But at the end of the season, do you work a walk enough? No. But at the end of the year, when we look at the traditional stats and the raw numbers, are you going to be the MLB hits leader? Are you going to maybe lead in doubles? Maybe. Probably. Is the contract going to be something that is a little uncomfortable? Likely. Because if there's one thing that I'm reading from this market, even with the Pete Alonso thing, is teams go, we don't know how he's going to age. We don't know how he's going to age. And there's a little bit of that with Bichette, but still, he's in his 20s.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if there is actually going to develop more of a market for him. But with the Blue Jays, when it comes down to this decision, I wonder if there will be a divide between ownership who looks at this and goes, I don't want to, like Rogers going, we just made it to the World Series. I don't want to have any bad PR.
Yeah.
And look at what Steve Cohen is getting right now. He's getting berated by a team that sucked and didn't return the sucky guys. If I lose Bo and he goes to another organization, especially in the American League, and we just stuck to the valuation because he's not the quote-unquote perfect player and we're worried about his defense and his age, and again, other Pete Alonso things, versus what ownership is willing to spend for this guy to say, hey, we get to put him on billboards. He's going to sell tickets for us, and it's going to make not only our team better, just like Pete Alonso does, but also make our fan base feel way more confident about the season that they're entering.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Bichette thing. Plus, he's going to be, I don't know, half the price of Kyle Tucker. Plus, I don't know.
I think it's going to be half?
Whatever. Less, $100 million less than Kyle Tucker if he gets $400 million.
I don't think Kyle Tucker's getting $400 million.
I don't know. Those were the rumors out there, and I know the Joel Shermans of the world are trying to throw the Adam Dunn. He doesn't even like baseball. Did you know that about Kyle Tucker? He doesn't even like baseball, okay?
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't burn to play. He doesn't.
I don't like that. You know who burns to play? Bichette.
That's what I was going to get at. But also, I'm a little dubious of the New York-based reporter in a season in which I know you're not buying Hal Steinbrenner talking about pinching pennies and Trent Grisham taking all of the Kyle Tucker money, but yeah, if ever there was a way to get the fan base off you a little bit because you're not pursuing the top of the line free agent, and Cody Bellinger, maybe they're still pursuing, but yeah, it would be to say that this guy is going to be the next, doesn't want to be here, can't hack it in New York. You don't want that guy because he doesn't burn to play. Anyways, he does seem like a pretty laid back dude, Kyle Tucker does. I know Bichette burns to play. He sacrifices his body to make it back to play second base in the World Series.
I was sitting on the third base line for game 1 of the Mariners series when Bichette was standing less than, 40 feet from me, and they're announcing his name, not playing on the ALCS roster. He was choking up.
Yeah.
He looked like he was about to break down, full-fledged tears. He was doing everything that he could to get into the lineup and play in those games.
I think you're very much onto something in the Pete Alonso comparable. The only issue I think is that also the front office views him in the same way that the Mets front office viewed Pete Alonso.
That's where I think I'm more even onto this. That
Yeah.
it's a very apt comparison.
Yeah, it's very in many different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only difference is that eventually, like, yeah, you have a bounce back season like Pete Alonso did. He got his money, and you put all the years together. He actually ended up getting more than Freddie Freeman got in his deal with the Dodgers. So it worked out. Like, the market eventually came to Pete Alonso. It just wasn't the Mets that figured it out. The Orioles did, and he got slightly more than Kyle Schwarber did. The only difference is that I don't know, and we don't know. All we can go on is the reporting. It feels like the Red Sox, that the word is out that the Red Sox are out on Bo Bichette, not because they don't like the player, they don't like the price, because he's not worth what he's asking for in free agency. And obviously, whatever, you're worth whatever you can get out there in free agency. I wonder if the market has figured it out with Bo Bichette, to your point of the comparable to Pete Alonso. Enough with the warts about Pete Alonso. You know what I like? I like the 38 in the home run column every year and the plus 800 OPS every single year except for 2024. But
yeah, you know what I like is when Jackson Holliday and Jordan Westberg get on base, and then Pete Alonso comes up. You're terrified that it could be 3-0 in the first inning.
Yeah. And you know what I like? I like Bo Bichette having like a near 400 batting average with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
And the clutch moments and what should have been on the short list of greatest home runs in the history of the franchise in Game 7 of a World Series. His obvious burning desire to win by forcing his way back into playing shape and playing a position he'd never played before in the major leagues in the World freaking Series. And for cheaper than Kyle Tucker. Sign me up.
So I'm done with writing teams off based on reports. Like I'm not.
I mean that you're right to do that. Maybe that's a negotiating ploy.
Yes,
by the Red Sox.
I'm not going to do the Red Sox are out on Bo.
Totally.
Because one report from a Red Sox beat writer was they don't like the price.
Yeah.
We know how this stuff operates. When it starts to get out there, it's because someone has a reason for it. And the reason for that is, someone within the Red Sox front office is probably saying, hey, you liked our presentation? You thought that this could be a good place to land? Yeah, but not at that price, and we want you thinking about it. We want you doubting, having the self-doubt of whether or not your market is going to materialize, and maybe we feel like we're at the top of the pile when it comes to teams offering money. Why I'm even more pissed at the Mets is because of this trickle-down effect. Everybody's talking about how Pete Alonso is too old, that they don't want to sign an old guy. What does Bo Bichette have as an advantage for him? He's young.
But he's more hurt than Pete Alonso's ever been.
Yeah. But there's definitely a part of me that looks at this Bo stuff and says, are they now going to be more desperate knowing, like, okay, let's put it this way. If Alex Bregman leaves the Red Sox, are they really going to enter this following season without getting somebody?
Nah, they got to get somebody, you would think.
And that somebody I would feel like is Bo.
And it's not an outfielder because they're flush with outfielders.
Right.
They're not in the Tucker market.
No.
It's got to be an infielder. That's why Pete Alonso made sense. That's why Alex Bregman's why Bo Bichette makes sense. No, it does feel like the Red Sox are getting one of those. But there's enough to go around, you would think, with Bregman and Bichette. But man, and especially, and I asked Shai Davidi this today, but because whether you think it's $100 million less or half as much as Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette's obviously cheaper than Kyle Tucker, despite being younger, right? Like, he's not as good a baseball player, generally speaking, right? Doesn't do as much, not as fast, doesn't play great defense, doesn't get on base as much.
The Kyle Tucker doesn't love baseball.
Yeah, see, he loves baseball more, but
if he signs with the
show
Blue
me
Jays,
that.
I'm going to ignore that completely and power through and talk about what an amazing signing it is. But I will say that you've known me a long time.
Yeah.
If I was a GM, those guys would be immediately off my radar.
Yeah.
Like, no question. There's a reason why you and I have so much fun talking about Anthony Rendon is because we can't stand players like that.
And you know what your pushback to the Kyle Tucker maybe doesn't burn to play would be, who cares? Like, the results are the results. You know who got great results not caring about baseball until he got paid was Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, but that's until he got paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's about to get paid.
Yeah, paying the guy who doesn't care about baseball.
It doesn't burn to play. Okay, I don't know. And people are going through like every celebration that he's ever had with the Astros. With I'm surprised you haven't gone through the internet rabbit hole of the Zapruder film footage of how much he celebrated after victories and how excited he was.
Well, now I will, because I wasn't aware. This wasn't on my radar. Now I will.
Yeah. No, Bo's interested in playing. And yeah.
Yeah.
If he wasn't, like he comes from money, obviously, and a baseball family. So yeah, you have to be motivated because Anyways, I'm all about the idea if Bo is cheaper than Kyle Tucker by a significant enough degree that it gives you even a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to like a top of, well, and for me, Robert Suarez is the guy that's still
this is my next thing.
The biggest game changer out of your bullpen. And yeah, he's 34.
Yeah.
But that's maybe a benefit because he's not maybe going to even get a 3-year deal. It's like 2 years for Robert Suarez. And I feel pretty good about Robert Suarez in 26. And man, 20.
If you told me I could get Robert Suarez and Bichette or just Kyle Tucker, the answer would be very.
The thing.
What if it was Pete Fairbanks and Kyle Tucker versus Bichette and Robert Suarez?
I'm still doing Bo and Robert Suarez because I think that it's so hard when you're talking about limited innings.
I would too.
But Robert Suarez is just a lot better than Pete Fairbanks in 2026, I think, because there's a lot of indicators that Pete Fairbanks' velocity
there's some
diminishing.
buzz about how I think he added a cutter, and everyone's really high on the cutter.
Yeah, give me the guy that's still throws upper 90s and it's like in the 90th percentile in fastball velocity and getting people out. And I get it. It's like the NL West, but so what? Like that, that's the Dodgers like a bunch of times. And there's some good postseason results there for Suarez as well. So, yeah, I think Suarez is the guy, and it's maybe not even going to require a 3-year deal. And, like, if it's so – and I know it's not as simple as this. And I asked this, and it doesn't sound as simple as this. But if it were, I'm obviously doing Suarez and Bo over Tucker and Fairbanks or Luke Weaver. And Luke Weaver –
No.
Luke Weaver feels disappointing. I'd be fine with Luke Weaver if the price is
I'd be fine
right.
on Luke Weaver on a spring training invite.
Yeah, he's going to get more than that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is I'm not going to pretend like I want Luke Weaver at all. I said I'll pretend to get behind basically every signing. I'm not pretending to get behind that. Okay, so this is the other thing why I hate the Mets. Because this whole thing is about how the Mets trickle-down effect is impacting the Toronto Blue Jays. They signed Devin Williams, who is a guy that a lot of Blue Jays fans talked themselves into and seemed like a quality mid-range target. They overpaid him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they take him, but then they lose Diaz to the Dodgers, which I hate.
Yeah.
And now the market is just you have Suarez or Pete Fairbanks, and I'll just say I'm not really pumped on Pete Fairbanks. That feels very Jeff Hoffman-y to me in terms of can he be the closer? Sure. Can he compete with him to be the closer? Yes, but that's more of a if you have two closers, do you have one situation more than it is if you get a Suarez type or somebody of that ilk.
There's only one, in my opinion,
Closer
Robert Suarez left. And I do think you're underselling Luke Weaver a little bit. And it would be sweet to get the former Yankee guy.
Luke Weaver.
I mean,
Luke
2
Weaver
years ago, he was
2
unbelievable.
years ago, amazing. Yeah, 2 years ago.
That's the way relief arms work. You know this.
I don't care.
And, like, you can't see a scenario where Luke Weaver, like, Yankees fans aren't pulling their hair out because here's Luke Weaver with another shutdown.
I'm just saying that when Luke Weaver came out against the Blue Jays, I was doing everybody clap your hands.
You were doing the same with Devin Williams, even though his results were better.
But that's the thing is, at least with Devin Williams, I felt like there was a chance that he was going to be dialed in.
Yeah.
And it was more of a, will he choke? Luke Weaver was batting practice.
Yeah. No, the Yankees had some issues in the bullpen.
Yeah.
That's why they lost that series in 4 games, despite their incredible comeback. What a moment for them in Game 3 and the Aaron Judge home run. Well done for them. Anyways, there's Robert Suarez and there's everybody else. And what a weird career Robert Suarez has had where he spends like a lifetime in Japan and then turns into one of the best closers in baseball in his age, like 33 and 34 season. But that's the life of a reliever, man. And and it's not a decade-long deal. It's not even a 5-year deal. It's maybe not even a 3-year deal.
You would assume that it would be.
Yeah.
Williams got 3, and so did Diaz, and I kind of feel
the
like...
The age is different, though, right? Like, he's going to be 35, I think, beginning of next season.
But that's probably why, if I'm him, I'm putting more impetus on, if you're trying to give me the 2-year deal for more AAV, Like if you're Edwin Diaz and you sign that 3-year deal, there's got to be a part of him that's thinking, "Hey man, I'm Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
Like I'm still gonna sign one more contract." And I think he has an opt out after the second year. Might not, but
I don't
who? Yeah. Either way, if I'm Suarez, I'm thinking to myself, this is genuinely the last time that I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
So if someone's going to give me more money on the deal in totality, that's the one that I'm taking over the idea that I'm taking a 2-year deal with.
Yeah, this might be it for Robert.
Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd give it to him.
The 3 years?
So what? What did Williams sign for? Because if Diaz was 3 years, 69, it was I guess it would be right in between what Williams signed and what Diaz signed, which was 3 years, 69. And I'm gonna keep talking while you look it up.
He was 3 years, $51 million with a
Okay.
$6 million signing bonus.
Okay, so you would do Robert Suarez for 3 years, $60 million?
Oof, that would piss me off knowing that Diaz went for 69.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it just would. Again,
Yeah.
this is the Mets. You pissed me off. You were the bad.
Yeah,
The
that
Mets
you
were
could
the
have
variable that I did not account for in this offseason,
Yeah.
really just messing everything up.
for the low price of $9 million over 3 years. You could have had the best closer in baseball, but not though, right? Because there are other factors there with the Diaz thing other than money, I guess, conceivably. Like he wanted to be the guy getting the final 3 outs at the end of a World Series, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, $12 million a year for Devin Williams. You're fine.
Yeah, you sure are.
Yeah, you're fine with that.
Yeah, especially the way he figured it out by the end of the year. And yeah.
Okay, so this brings me to the last question on the Mets trickle down. And clearly this is more of an anxiety-driven conversation with you because
Aren't they all?
well, yeah, but some days I'm more optimistic than others. And yesterday I just wasn't feeling optimistic seeing this Mets stuff because I don't like the way that any of it has shaken out. Not one thing has happened that the Mets have been a piece of. This is the case that I'm making here that, in my opinion, has not at least somewhat negatively impacted the Blue Jays. The ice cold-hearted stats guy would tell me, no, it doesn't matter. Like they got Pete Alonso, they wanted to spend, but no, the Orioles are better, and the Red Sox and the Yankees have yet to get a guy, so they remain hungry as the Blue Jays search for a guy. The Los Angeles Dodgers, your number one competitor for a World Series, got better in the area in which you probably felt the least confident about them. Also opening up the Roki Sasaki going back to being a starter thing.
I mean, the good news is that the Dodgers stink at signing these closers.
Right.
Like,
but then
Tanner Scott turned into a corn cob.
Sure. But then the other part of this, but he's Tanner Scott versus Edwin Diaz. Let's just,
I mean, he was one of the best relievers in baseball when they signed him.
Not for as many years as Edwin Diaz has been one of the best closers in all baseball. And
he also hasn't been perfect every single season either.
No doubt. And there's no arm injury to Edwin Diaz anyway. But the other piece of it is the Mets still, to me, feel like a team that kind of has to be a little desperate because their fan base is in the toilet. Their owner is uber rich. And the idea that they just moved out Nimmo, Pete Alonso, and Edwin Diaz and are only going to replace them with Marcus Semien and Devin Williams doesn't pass the smell test for me. So my point here is all of this is coming together to create what I believe is a bit of a more difficult situation for the Blue Jays. So they signed Dylan Cease. They signed Cody Ponce. Those are very nice, especially the Cease signing because they jumped the market and they paid what was over market value for a guy that they just said, nope, this is the dude that we want. But do you think that is enough at this point if they do miss out on these other guys and kind of have to go value shopping for other dudes, that it's going to avoid the optics of what this has been the last couple of years, which is, oh yeah, you hyped it up, but really we're always the bridesmaid. And if you don't land premier guys after a World Series, and I know Dylan Cease is a premier guy, but it feels more like this is what we do with the Blue Jays every year, where when they miss out on free agents, you get the but guy that's like, but they did sign Kevin Gausman. But they did sign Hyun-Jin Ryu. But they, they did sign George Springer.
I mean, Anthony Santander was more of the but guy, but I mean, Dylan Cease is truly and
I don't
we'll
think
see
it's
what the Fran Breval does.
I don't think it's enough. I'm greedy.
No, the thing is, okay. So we agreed that they're going to do something, right? You're talking about the degrees. So
yes,
if it's
saying,
Jorge Polanco and Luke Weaver.
I'm saying right now, if they don't get Bo or Kyle Tucker, or I'll throw Alex Bregman in there because if they somehow emerge
too much of that Astros core, though.
I don't like that at all for sure. And listen, full transparency, I don't want to root for Alex Bregman.
Yeah. I'm with you.
I would much rather Alex Bregman just stay a Red Sox and Bo Bichette remain a Blue Jay
Yeah.
and feel like there's a natural order to things.
Yeah.
And like if they get Bregman, I'll talk myself into it. But that's
No, I'm with you 100%. Like, yeah, it's him and Jose Altuve are the faces of that thing. And yeah, I know George Springer too, and maybe nobody benefited more than George Springer.
Yeah, I just don't, either way.
Whatever, he's beyond it.
If they don't sign one of the marquee guys, I'm not going to be one of the types that goes, hey, they got paid too much money, and I think that this is smart. The Blue Jays can spread the money around and get a Polanco and get a guy. There is going to be, I think, a little bit more of the bridesmaid vibe, fair or unfair, based on them getting Dylan Cease or not.
Hey, that comes with being where the Blue Jays are. One of the favorites to win the World Series going into the season, coming off Game 7 of the World Series appearance and having already a top 5 payroll in baseball and getting the top pitching free agent and everything conspiring and anything outside of money, unless you're Edwin Diaz, pointing you in the direction of the Blue Jays, that's life, baby. That's life in the big smoke. Like Eagles fans who
life in the big smoke.
That's like Eagles fans who boo their team like months after winning the Super Bowl. That's life, baby.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't like it, and maybe you think it's unfair. Go somewhere else then.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Anyway, quick break. I do have 2 more things for you. I had so much stuff today, but where is this read? It's Leafs game day. Score a Popeyes chicken sandwich for only $6 in classic or spicy. Make it your new game day tradition. Get your $6 chicken sandwich at a Popeyes near you. Subscribe to this podcast. Leave 5 stars. Reach out anytime on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis. Yeah, that's the question of the day. Is like, are you going to be thinking the Jays are bridesmaids? Yeah, not the bride. If they don't land another marquee free agent. Last thing that I want to do. I want to get to 2 things in the next block. One is, did the Berrios stuff go under the radar? And 2, are you Team Nick Wright or Team Pablo? That's next. All right, trying to get 2 more topics in here with Ennis before he leaves. So I mentioned I had Bowden on this week, and he discussed how the Blue Jays are actively trying to trade Jose Berrios. They'll have to eat some money, but that they would like to get him off the books.
Sure.
And yeah, that makes sense based on you look at their rotation and the fact that Ponce is supposed to be a starting pitcher, and they've got some depth within the organization. They could still be looking to bring somebody back like a Chris Bassett. That's not completely off the table yet, even though it looks unlikely. But he used this word. He was like, the Berrios signing has been a bust, right? And we put that clip out. Sportsnet decided, hey, this is the clip. And I got all these crybabies in my mentions, like all over the place. It was Cry City. Like, he's not a bust. He was an ace in Minnesota. And I go, okay, that's clearly not what he's talking about. He was a really good opening day starter. I went, all right. Like, yeah, he's a good Blue Jay. I don't think that's what it's referring to. I'm saying that I think what he's saying is, hey, you bought a contract that now looks like one of the most untradeable deals in all of baseball. You didn't get any return for it, really, on a season that you were trying to go to the World Series. And moving forward, there are some real questions as to whether or not he can pitch. What I think went under the radar in all this that has been like bothering me for the last 48 hours, and something that I discussed with you and other people when I was trying to discuss how Berrios wasn't around during the World Series and how weird it was and that no one was reporting on it. And I get it. It was very fun, and we were all enjoying the World Series, and it was very, like, way, way down the list of priorities. But it's not common for that to happen. That's not a thing. You don't miss the playoff roster and then just dip. And I find this one to be unbelievably strange because, okay, he had the injury, right? But the injury almost felt a little, we're saving you from yourself. And if he was pissed about not making the playoff roster, you should be able to have enough of a brain to equate that with, wasn't that hurt? If he was really hurt, he wouldn't have been upset about missing the playoff roster because he would have gone, like, I can't do the job. So I'm with the team. I'm injured. Like, Bo Bichette didn't make the playoff roster and he was hurt. Where was Bo? Crying on the sidelines, wishing that he could play in these baseball games. So I do think that there is a section of the fans that's like completely delusional about this Berrios situation. But also, this is what pisses me off. Imagine if the Maple Leafs, if one of their highest paid players, let's just say for argument's sake, it was Mitch Marner last year, a guy who's not on the team. If Mitch Marner got healthy scratched in a playoff game because he was just playing so poorly and people were going, is he or isn't he healthy? We don't know. And then they went to the playoffs and Mitch just left, just wasn't around the team, decided to disappear. And let's say he actually had a contract, because this is a bad comparison because he's a pending free agent, so people would have blown that out of proportion, but he's under contract in this situation. What do you think we would have been talking about every day based on, even if the Leafs were winning games and even if they were going deep in the postseason? It would have been, what the hell is this? This guy left. Ross Atkins came out the other day and said, yeah, he wasn't happy that he wasn't on the postseason roster. And they've been doing the what's it called? Like the nice optics of not burying the player, going, we plan on having him on the roster and we do this. But for a team with ultimate clubhouse vibes, having someone who clearly rocked the apple cart and disappeared from his team from the postseason, and there's a just large section of the fan base like, he's not a bust. I like Berrios. He's a good guy. He's been a good soldier. He abandoned his team during the World Series run.
He abandoned his team.
Well, yeah, he didn't go get a surgery somewhere.
No.
And even if he was hurt, it would be more reason to be around the team and around their medical staff. And like, it's perplexing to me. And I can't quite put my finger on why this story is like totally getting ignored. And I've been avoiding it, I will admit, because I don't want to just be negative. What?
Oh, I did it when it first happened. Like I like you thought this was a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
he left his team in a pout.
It was on the front page of one of the newspaper sports sections of one of the newspapers when it happened too. Like I think some people are viewing it as
when it happened, but it was quickly erased because he was performing. It was kind of a perfect storm of no one really wanted him on the playoff roster. He was having really poor results.
I mean this week it was.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so Jose Berrios seems like a fine fellow.
Sure.
Does a lot.
The reporters love him.
Maybe is not a bad teammate. He did a bad teammate. He was a bad teammate. Like, how do you...
Literally the worst teammate thing you can, I think, possibly do.
He's not an interloper. Like, he has a long history. He signed a 7-year extension with the Toronto Blue Jays. He didn't just get here. Like, he's been through the playoff disappointments, and boy, maybe that's a factor that he was unceremoniously removed from what could have been one of the great postseason moments of his career against the Minnesota Twins. But no, he's ingrained in the fabric of what the Toronto Blue Jays have been for the last half decade. He was their prize deadline acquisition in 2021. And then when everybody thought he was going to free agency, re-upped for 7 years. And, you know, that he keeps getting the opening day assignment. He's had some low moments and had one of the worst years of his entire career and bounced back with 2 pretty good ones. But, yeah, he's not just some guy.
Yeah.
Like, if he had remained on his track, he could have superseded, I think it's Roy Halladay has the all-time franchise record for most opening day starts. That could have been Jose Berrios. I think he's only 1 or 2 away from that mark. And in this franchise's biggest moment in the last 30 years, he was absent. So there was a scenario that was inches away from happening where the Blue Jays have one of the seminal moments. And boy, if they had won Game 7 of the World Series in a walk-up fashion over the Los Angeles Dodgers, boy, I know back-to-back World Series championships and a walk-off to win the second one, that's all-time stuff. But right there with that, and there would have been all these images of the celebrations, and obviously the people that were participating in that World Series would have been first and foremost.
And you did help them get there.
He absolutely did.
Yeah.
And like until the ball was taken out of his hands, and the story is that he was dealing with this injury basically all season long. It was impacting it, whatever, and he just wanted to pay. You can't argue with the fact that he's just taking the ball every single time he's been asked.
I agree.
It's been a feature, not a bug. Right?
Yeah.
This year it was a bit of a bug. But
2022, when he gave up the most hits and most earned runs in all of baseball, it was a bug.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a bug.
Yeah, yep. But there could have been still images, moving pictures of the Blue Jays winning the World Series in a lot of these guys' greatest moments of their careers. And it wouldn't have been for him because he would have felt like he didn't get a part of it, but he would have gotten a ring.
Yeah.
Right? He could have been there, except he wouldn't have been there because he wasn't there. Like that was inches. It was an Isaiah Kiner-Falefa not taking the 8th shortest lead in the World Series away from happening. He was gone with his family. Okay.
Again, though, what a double standard for everybody else in sports in this town.
Yeah, no, it's egregious.
If this happens, if it's the Raptors and they have to leave off Serge Ibaka from the playoff roster, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, there's some questions as to whether or not he's worn down, but he disappears. People will be losing their minds.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, if it was a Maple Leaf, I just don't get how this one in particular seems to be. And I'm not saying this is everyone. Like, I think a lot of people kind of get this. But for some reason, it doesn't seem to be translating the same way to the vast majority of the fan base. I will admit some of this is anecdotal. Some of this is definitely me being a little triggered online by seeing so many people go like, Berrios is good and he's been a good soldier. And like, yeah, I guess if you could move off the contract, and you're like, he bailed on the team during the World Series. This wasn't he was unhappy with the decision, like he's a competitor and he wanted to be in there.
He was around for the DS and the CS, but Max Scherzer and Chris Bassett probably displeased not to be on the DS roster, right?
Yeah, same thing.
I think and it's not an apples to apples because they probably had a good indication they'd be back for the CS when it got back to a 7-game series. But everyone was there and vibes were good, except you wanted no part of it.
Yeah.
And got it.
So which is it? Was he too hurt? Or was he too upset that he didn't make the playoff roster? Like, you can't have both. Mm-hmm. Only one of these realities.
Well, he didn't leave the team because he was too hurt.
But that's what I'm saying is if he was mad that he got left off the playoff roster and that the decision was made, he clearly didn't, like, I'm not saying he didn't have a lingering issue through the year that impacted him or that he can't bounce back next year.
Yeah.
Like, those things are all on the table for me.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is if the guy is pissed about being left off the playoff roster and he's pissed about the decision for them to remove him from starts at the end of the year, he clearly felt as though he was healthy enough to perform and pitch.
Yeah.
He didn't go under the knife. He didn't have to go see Dr. James Andrews somewhere. He wasn't disappearing to get multiple consults on surgeries. He's mostly fine. Like, I'm more worried about Shane Bieber than I'm worried about Jose Berrios.
Oh, from a physical standpoint?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I don't get it. And I've yet to have a person explain to me why this doesn't get lumped in with any other example of a player that would do the exact same thing for any other team or even other Blue Jays.
Well, it's because, in the moment, everything superseded it, and it was like,
in the moment, I get. Yeah. What I'm saying is...
No, now it's a big deal.
Yes. What I'm saying is now that the general manager came out and was like, he was upset.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know it's like he wasn't with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And now we know that all of this happened that way. And again, that he was not hurt enough.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a sourpuss. I mean, he sourpussed his way out of it.
But
There's no two ways.
Is so upset always by anybody who's a sourpuss.
Yeah, I know.
And yet with this guy, they're like, he's not a bust. What? What are we talking about?
So I think you can hold multiple thoughts in your head at one time. Like, I think, especially with the Bieber of it all, right, and the forearm fatigue or whatever, which forearm always scares me because forearm is elbow. It's elbow fatigue. Whatever.
Yeah, and
he's going to be fine for opening day, though. He's week to week.
Yeah, but you're saying week to week when you're 2 months away from guys pitching is not good.
No.
Yeah.
So I can hold two things in my mind. Is like, I wouldn't be eating, so there's potentially 3 years left for I wouldn't be eating $6 million a year to get rid of it. I wouldn't, because I, like you, think he's going to bounce back, and he's not aging.
What happens next time?
What do you mean? If he gets hurt or he stinks?
Buddy, this is how it works. It works in every environment on earth where people work together. You get one person who's sour and starts to bitch and who's not feeling like a part of it. And there's always one other person that is their friend. Yeah. And then that person has a friend. And I'm just telling you.
No, maybe.
You've seen it.
I think what's more likely is Jose Berrios bounces back like he did after the worst year of his career and giving up the most hits in baseball and is fine and is in the rotation because Shane Bieber needs a month to get it together, or they run a 6-man rotation or whatever, and that he's good and fine. And maybe at that point when trades are so impossible to make it there early.
And then what? And
then he's not a sunk asset anymore because he looks like the guy that he's been his entire career, except for one full season and the back half of one last year, right? Where he had an ERA slightly above 4, lower than Dylan Cease's, better than Dylan Cease was Shane Bieber, or was Jose Berrios last year.
This is the most insanely optimistic thing I've ever heard. What happens if it's the other way, where he shows up and he doesn't pitch well and he?
Well, then it's a sunk asset.
Yeah, but then you can't. When you're talking about $6-7 million, you don't want another team. You're not paying that. You're not paying that. There's potential you're paying the whole freight because he becomes genuinely untradeable if he sucks.
Well, and then you're talking about him being done at what, 32 though? Like I just don't. I don't think he's done.
Well, no. What I would say is, do I think that he's done? No. Do I think that he has a chance to bounce back and be reasonably good, like especially as a fifth starter? Overpaid, sure, who cares, whatever.
Yeah,
he's better.
Better than that, yeah. Like I think he can be a consistent starter in the threes.
What I'm saying is, if you're bringing him back and he was already pouty about this decision, there's absolutely a scenario on the table that if Bieber especially is healthy, that he ends up being the odd man out to the other guys. And if that happens, what do you think he's going to do? How do you think he's going to react based on the past? And then if you're trying to move him, because he's pouty and he wants off the team, you think someone's going to pay that much?
As long as he's performing.
Okay, man.
And that would be the bet I'd be willing to make, is that he will perform. And
that's a pretty expensive bet for you to make. That's like, for a guy that likes to bet $5 on parlays. So it's fairly interesting to me that Berrios' contract for you is just like this palatable bet that you're willing to make on a guy who quit on your team.
You're talking about $18-20 million. Yeah. That's your bet, is that you'd rather just pay $20 million. That's the safe route, I guess. Yeah. But it's like you're just paying $20 million for a guy that you may need. Like you could be
I don't need a guy who quits on my team ever. I just don't. I don't need a guy who bails and has a tantrum and bolts when things get tough. Sorry, just can't have it. And for a team, if you're telling me that one of the signature things about the Toronto Blue Jays is the vibes and that the way that the clubhouse gets along, and you're afraid of tinkering with that, you don't want to mess with that. That's an element of what they're doing here. I can't have a guy that isn't dying to compete and prove it versus a guy who, when the going gets tough, is like, I'm out of here.
Unless you're talking about Kyle Tucker, then you want him because,
Well, he's not going to bowl. Like, he might Anthony Rendon it. Apparently, he might Anthony Rendon it, but I don't think he's going to bowl. Anyway, I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird that nobody's like, or not nobody. That's so, don't take me literally here. It's
not getting enough play.
It's comparable to what it would be if it was the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because there's like a lot of new fans or whatever.
And the sport is different and the position that he plays
is so
but
it's
different.
Just, it's crazy to me that this thing happened and I went, oh, okay. And I felt so validated in the moment because I went around during the World Series going like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And people were like, yeah, this is kind of weird. And I went, yeah, this is very strange. Someone should say something about this, but nobody did. And then this happened and then Ross Atkins confirms it. And I go, okay, finally, everyone's going to kind of come to their senses on this issue. And then people just come kind of like, I guess. See you in spring. Like, see you in spring.
No, I know.
Nuts. Yeah. Anyway, we got to go.
I'm just willing to deal with some of the emotional stuff if he just performs.
Yes, but that's not just some emotional stuff. That's not like a story. It's like you left the team during the World freaking Series and were pouty about it. Anyway, whatever. We didn't have time to do Nick Wright, but yeah. Nick Wright
is the winner.
Yeah, dominated. Anyway, quick break. Come back, and I want to talk about Nylander. All right, fun hour with Ben. I want to start by saying I'm really disappointed in the Swedes, not in William Nylander. I actually, at this point, I'll be honest, I don't really care that he has gone, 4 games without a point? And I think maybe he was sick in there. Maybe he's dealing with something. Like, I can't really concern myself with this. But I do have thoughts on him going to the third line. The reason why I'm disappointed in the Swedes is yesterday I tried to read Swedish words on the air, and I solicited the opinions of what I thought would be some Swedish fans. I get messages from people all over. A lot of them are transplants, and some people aren't. They cheer for Toronto sports teams for whatever reason. But I just thought Swedish descent. I'd have a few. I got one. Got one message about me trying to read in Swedish. And I did get this. Where is it? There it is. Your Swedish reading and pronunciation was remarkably okay. Remarkably okay. I will take that. Honestly, that should be what this show is. That could be the JD Bunkis podcast. Remarkably okay. It's fine. It's not the best podcast. Let's be real here. There's much better. Come on. That's why part of the reason why I'm shocked whenever people reach out to me with the Spotify rap thing and they send me all these DMs of, hey, number one podcast you listen to. And I need it. I need it because I don't have, I'm Chris Farley in Wayne's World. I got no place else to go. I got no place else to go. Need this to work, or I'm no longer built for hard labor. Maybe in my younger days, but that's a pivot that I can't make anymore. I don't have any practical skills. I'm screwed. I'm deeply, deeply screwed. If this doesn't work, there's no plan B. There's no plan B to this. So thank you for listening. But also, I don't even want to tell you this, but there's a lot of good podcasts out there. There's so many good ones. So many. There's too many. There's too many. That's why I hate it when the Kachuk brothers decide to make a pod. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. In fact, I'm sure it's actually better than this in a lot of different ways. But I go, don't you have enough? What is too much? Travis Kelce, you got Super Bowl rings and you're married to the most famous person on planet Earth and you got to dominate the podcast space too. When is it enough? When is it enough? And you're insatiable. You need more. Drives me crazy. Anyway, I was hoping that more Swedes were going to reach out and either tell me what was happening with this Yarncroak thing or praise the attempt at reading Swedish. And what I've been told now and what I have figured out in the meantime is I did 10 minutes on Yarncroak leaving, which was completely irrelevant. He's not leaving his NHL money. It turns out he's not going to Brynäs and that it's a next year situation. And if I could have read Swedish and if I would have had a good Swedish fan that could have reached out during that segment, you would have saved me. And instead I got tricked. And yesterday I sent Armin a video, an AI video too. So it's all falling apart. It sucked. Armin hit me with AI, and I couldn't even really check to tell if it was. This is going to suck for the rest of my life. Whatever I send, if someone replies AI, I just assume they're right and I'm wrong. Which is kind of a good move, though, if you ever need to get out of something, is just to be like AI and do it to your friends and see if they call your bluff on the thing being AI. Either way, Nylander, not really disappointed. Got to be honest. 4 games without a point. Hasn't played particularly well. I'm not overly frustrated by it. I'm not doing this with William Nylander where he has 4 bad games and I blow it out of proportion. I spoke to McKee on Leafs Talk about a month ago. He had a bad game. It probably wasn't even that long. And because he scored in overtime. And I think my general frustration, if there is one, with Nylander is that at times when he isn't playing well, he actually doesn't take enough criticism. And I believe, just personally, that a lot of people around hockey, fans included, are afraid to criticize him when he doesn't play well because there is an internet mob that will come after you, the Neanderthals that will just beat you over the head with you're a boomer, you're archaic, you're out of touch. You don't appreciate this guy. Oh, woe is him. He's always the whipping boy. And I actually don't feel that way at all. I think there was a time when he was the whipping boy. And I actually view some of that as actually pretty fair. He held out for most of a season. He came back for not very much more money than he was asking for or that the Leafs wanted him to take in the first place. It ended up being a decent contract, but that year was a lost season for Nylander because he did hold out for the money. And it did set a bit of the tone. We always talk about how Tavares is the apple in the Garden of Eden of these guys taking these big contracts when they were RFAs. And there's probably some truth to that. He got 11 mil, but he was also an unrestricted free agent. I don't think Nylander gets any blame for holding out. And the weirdness that was with, his dad being an agent and all of it. It sucked. I don't need to look back on it all the time. It is what it is. Like, what am I going to do? Pods every week about, hey, we don't give enough bad credit to Nylander. Like, I don't care. It's done. It's over. I don't view him as a target the way that other guys are in the market. But I also think that I understand when fans feel as though people are too negative about the team, because I will admit to this. It does always feel like with the Leafs, there has to be a whipping boy. Like, things are going pretty good right now. Are there things that I'll admit, I'm worried that the second I buy into this Leafs team, which I haven't fully yet, the bottom's going to fall out. I'm going to look like an idiot. I had the same feeling when they were playing poorly, going, I don't think this team's very good. And I knew there was going to be a section like this where they started to perform better. I didn't know if it was going to be beat the Tampa Bay Lightning and look your absolute best, and beat the Florida Panthers and look your absolute best. But still, if you are a Leaf fan or someone who watches the team, you kind of know that this is just the way they do it sometimes. And this has been sort of a piece of the core. It had never been this bad for that long under these guys, but still, whenever you feel comfortable, that's when you should feel like, oh boy, something's going to change here. But the exhausting part is, yeah, they're playing better defensively. Matthews just came off of his best game. They've got this incredible found money in Troy Stetcher. McCabe looks himself. Their goalie, their child goaltender, has been an absolute stud in the absence of the two guys they paid money to. And one of the guys they paid money to, in Joe Wool, when he was playing those 8 of 9 games, looked as good as any goalie can on planet Earth. That's premier, top tier, the best cut of NHL goaltending that you're going to get. The forward depth has been improved. Nick Roy is starting to look like a guy. Scott Laughton has not only a positive impact on the roster, but seems to be extremely popular off the ice and adds a little bit of levity to a group that oftentimes is a bit too self-serious. And Nylander moves to the third line yesterday, and it's just, I wasn't really on social media too much yesterday, but I took a quick peek, and I went, I don't need internet today. There's not really any sports. I'm going to watch some NBA Cup later, blah, blah, blah. That's it. I'm not investing in this. And that part of it, I do think is exhausting. And that part of it, I recognize when people are critical of media, and even people like myself, when you go, it's always negative all the time. I go, yeah, some of that's right, because the whipping boy thing, there always needs to be somebody that is in the eye of the storm, that if they make a mistake is going to end up being the person who gets criticized. And today, that's William Nylander. And I don't even know the severity of this. Maybe I'm straw manning it, and maybe people don't care. But for me personally, Nylander would have to do a lot. This is a sample size issue where I go, you would have to suck for a very long time for me to start to move off of what my opinion is of you as a player and you as an impact guy on this team this season. What I will say is I actually think this is a major positive for the team. Nylander's quote when he got, and it's a demotion, you're on the third line. And yeah, the reason for it is probably because Bobby McMahon gets a suspension, but they could have put Nick Robertson on that line. They could have just decided to do the easy thing. They demoted him. It maybe doesn't happen because of this, but it did happen. And his response was, quote, I think it's great. We needed to try something new, end quote. Awesome. That's all we ask for. And this is one of the reasons why I really like Nylander, is he's pretty authentic. Sometimes he says stuff that does rub me the wrong way. That's fine. Who doesn't say something that rubs you the wrong way? You could be a huge fan of this pod. How many times have I said stuff where you're like, I hate that you said that? I have my best friends I disagree with constantly. I can't stand some of their politics. I can't stand some of their just opinions. Whatever it is, you're going to have a long relationship with someone. They're eventually going to say stuff that you don't really like, and Nylander has done that for me. Like I'd be worried if we're not scoring more goals. Or what's the big deal was last year. And I went, I don't really love that right now, but whatever. I have hated a lot of his post-season media availabilities when he's had to explain the team's failures and has sort of brushed it off. But he's authentic. That's who he is. I don't mind it as much. Maybe that's unfair when it comes from Nylander as I do with others, where it feels a little forced or that they're tight and they don't want to say something because it could turn into some tweet and somebody would take it this way and then my teammate has to. That's the part that bothers me. With Nylander, I just don't really think he cares too much. Like, again, this is a guy who walks through Toronto all the time with his dogs, gets on the subway. Like, I just don't think that there's anything that really phases this dude. But to see him buy into that, a guy who, let's be honest, is you would probably be a little nervous demoting a player like this. He's had a track record where he's got blamed with stuff. He has had the track record where he gets put down on the third line. I watched Luke Fox mention this yesterday, and he's right. Whenever it seems like they got to go to 3 lines, Nylander seems to be the one that takes the brunt of that. I think there are practical reasons for that, but still, he has talked about ice time and he's talked about power play time. He's a guy that played on both power play units last year because he wanted it and they acquiesced. And so something like this at this time, maybe it does rub a guy the wrong way. And it doesn't seem to, and I love that he's bought in, and that's the kind of culture that this team needs to have if they're going to have success, which is, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice and I'm willing to take personal accountability if things are not working out great. And I'm not afraid to say that publicly. And honestly, him doing it this way where he just goes, I love it, and I'm honest that we need to try something new. Yeah, I know I'm doing a segment on it, but that's just kind of, this makes me excited about watching him tonight more so than it does if they would have just kept forcing the second line and it wouldn't be working and then it becomes an even greater story. This to me gives it a bit of a positive tilt. So here's the other part of it. Everybody has always wanted to see the talent get spread out. And if you're me and you're looking at it, I like the idea of him playing with Nick Waugh, and I like the idea of him playing with Dakota Joshua. Is it a guarantee to work out? No, but can he be a line driver? Has Nick Waugh shown enough that he's got some skill to his game? Is he going to be able to dig out a puck, and is Dakota Joshua going to be able to stand in front of the net and potentially tip a Nylander puck or open up some space for him? I think that there is a case for this. Bobby McMahon looked pretty good on that line, and Nylander's way better than Bobby McMahon. So why not try it? This is the Versteeg thing. He goes, be creative, give things a shot, move guys around. And yeah, I'm into it. Cowan has hit a bit of a wall to me lately. Hasn't looked like quite the same guy. Could he bounce back and be totally fine? Yep, he could. Tavares is someone who plays the way that he plays no matter who he's with. And this also opens up an opportunity for Nick Robertson to be in your top 6. So kind of a big spot for Robertson. Hey, you're going to be playing. This almost feels like, what I liked about Formula One, and I never stuck with it the same way, I'll just admit. I got into it during COVID. I did some segments on it. Whenever I tried to talk about it on the show, I just got F1 hardos that were like, you don't know what you're talking about. We hate that you do it. So I kind of bailed. And I'm just, it's a super competitive climate for things I'm going to watch. And me waking up for every F1 race when the same guy wins every time, man, I just didn't. I'm too North American for it. I just am. I love the show. I'll tune into the odd race. If you tell me what the stakes are, I'll get into it somewhat. But in terms of following it on a day-to-day, it never stuck. But one of the things I loved so much about F1 is that you could tell who the better driver was because your main competitor was driving the same car. You two had the same car, the same resources, and one of you was faster. So you could debate and discuss, like, I didn't care who finished first out of McLaren or Mercedes versus one of the lesser light teams who I'm like, yeah, they're not competing with the same car. They're not competing with the same resources. What made it so compelling is that your teammate is your number one rival. And I feel a little bit of that way with Robertson and Cowan, where they get to play with John Tavares. Nick Robertson's no spring chicken anymore. He's still young. But you guys are in the same race car. You're going to get the same minutes. You're going to play with the same centerman. You're playing off of each other. Who's going to look better? And if you're Nick Robertson, I kind of think you have a lot of urgency to prove that your game looks materially better than a kid that was taken in the first round but is still 20 years old and figuring out the NHL. So prove it. Prove that he should be sent down to the Marlies if the roster is loaded, and that development should be the case for him, and that you're the better of the two guys. And if you're Nylander, you should always want to prove this, but play on a line with a checking center with some offense, play a little defensively responsible, and drive your line and have them look as threatening as they have been over this stretch. Don't let them drop off. Don't have them feel like a liability. Take some personal pride in knowing that the spotlight is on you and that you kind of, if you love it and you think something needed to change, then, and you're being truly accountable, then recognize that something probably has to change with your game as well. So basically, from a variety of different reasons, I just view this as a positive for the entire roster. You've got a top-end player being accountable and buying into something. You've got a depth player like Nick Robertson, who I think we all agree needs to play in the top 6, gets an opportunity in the top 6, gets to be competitive against another young competitive player. John Tavares, I believe, is still a winner because he is playing with talent and skill. Nick Waugh is a winner because he's done a lot lately, and he gets to play with a little bit more talent. And it's spread out throughout the lineup during a time where things are going well, and it isn't. They're changing something when things are not going piss poor, that it isn't a 5-alarm fire and it feels panicky. They're changing something as things are going well, and they're just trying to improve it by a little bit more. And I love that. I'm really into that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm disappointed in the Swedes who didn't reach out to me after I read Swedish, but I'm not disappointed in William Nylander, and I actually love that he said it that way. It's Leafs game day, playing the Sharks. Score a Popeyes chicken sandwich for only $6 in classic or spicy. Make it your new game day tradition. Get your $6 chicken sandwich at a Popeyes near you. We're going to take a quick break. I've got Buffalo Bills representative Brennan Brown in studio today. Because this is my last show, this week. Please don't be my last show. I just already talked about it. I got nowhere else to go. I want to talk to him about what this Bills game actually means and whether this is actually like a huge step for the Bills or if this one's kind of irrelevant, because I honestly don't know really where to land on it. That's next. Järnkrok at the Vander till Brynäs. So the Buffalo Bills play the New England Patriots this weekend. The two teams at the top of the AFC East. Arguably, I think a pretty strong argument that these are the two best teams in the AFC this season. Sorry, Broncos fans. It is what it is. I've made my thoughts known. I really do think if I was picking the AFC teams right now in terms of what the power rankings would be, it's Bills 1, Patriots 2, Texans 3. That's how I'd have it. No disrespect. I just have the Jags and the Broncos below them. And then I do not care about the AFC North whatsoever because they are irrelevant. I'm still mostly afraid of the Ravens because at least I've seen it before. They get that pedigree angle. Like if they get in, I think that represents the best postseason. But you can't play the way you're playing all season long and have me really believe in you. And then, yeah, the Chargers, I don't think your offensive line is good enough. And the Chiefs, I don't think are getting in. The Chargers won again. Like, what did that? I can't wait for the next time. What is it, ESPN that does that fake politics guy who does the playoff odds? They do that on Monday Night Football. They've got a guy who goes up and he's got the screens, the touch screens, and he's like, and then if over here, if this game happens, the odds change to 16%. But yeah, it was already a 50-50 proposition heading into that game against the Texans. They lost, and then the Chargers won. So it's not looking good for the Chiefs. So everyone has this game circled, I think, as game of the week, right? This is the number one game, unless I'm missing one. I know that there's one other really big game this weekend, but hold on, what is it? What's the other huge game? I can't get this thing to load.
Chargers Chiefs play.
Yeah, I don't think that's it.
No.
I think there's one other one.
Lions Rams.
That's it.
Yeah.
Lions Rams. Lions for their life on the line. Rams fighting for the top of the conference. So, and there's also Green Bay and Denver. That's the other one that I was thinking about. Green Bay and Denver, two teams that are jostling for number one position in the NFL. And to me, a really important game for the Broncos. That's a game where you can lose it, but you got to lose it tight. And basically with the Bears lost to the Packers last weekend, but I felt better about the Bears in that loss than, if they would have won, I would have gone, wow, that's really super impressive. But they were so right there. It takes one interception at the very end of the game. I watched them play tough the entire spot, and now I feel like the Bears are way more legitimate than even when they beat that Eagles team that's falling apart. Same stakes for this Broncos team. You can lose, but you got to look legit, and you really got to push the Packers into uncomfortable places and have me feel like have me feel throughout the game that you could win. Don't have it be just you're fluky because you're here or that the Packers are beating your ass. The Bills-Patriots game is getting circled by everybody because it's two premier teams. like very rightly so. Bills right now are 3 games back of the Patriots. 2 wins back, but also losing the tiebreaker because the Patriots have beaten them. I don't know how big this game is for the Bills. I feel like it's actually big for the Patriots from a statement standpoint, but they already did beat them. So if you beat them twice, maybe you're feeling a little bit more confident, but also the Bills will still be favored in a playoff game against them. I think even if they lose this game, who's not betting on the Bills at Foxborough, given their pedigree and their quarterback and what New England has done for them? I don't know what this game is supposed to mean if you're a Bills fan, because your schedule is pretty light. You've got a game against the Eagles that is now looking like a bit of a cupcake. You should beat the Browns and you should beat the Jets. If you take care of business, there is a way that you could catch the Patriots, because you beat them. All of a sudden, the tiebreaker goes to, what is it? It's in-division opponents. So you'd still be behind them. But maybe the Patriots lose one of those games to the Dolphins and you could jump over them. So division is very much alive. You'd obviously rather host games there, given Josh Allen's record. So there's some measure of import to trying to catch them. But I also don't feel like they're very leafy in the sense of nothing in the regular season really matters. I don't care if you beat the young upstart in this game this weekend. Even if they beat your ass, I'm kind of looking at it going, yeah, call me playoff time. Like, how do you feel about this one, Bills Mafia?
No, I mean, you made a lot of really good points there. I think that in terms of the standings, yeah, it maybe doesn't mean so much. I think most people have them in the playoffs at this point. Maybe if you don't catch the Patriots, maybe they continue to win too, but at least it'll give you maybe a better seeding, once we get to the playoffs, and you maybe don't have a crazy wild card game against the Broncos or whoever doesn't end up with the bye. But you're right. I think confidence is a huge thing. I think a lot of Bills fans want to see the Bills go out and be able to handle the Patriots, less so than, not that they played terribly in week 5 against them. I think it was 23-20 when they lost. But yeah, just to see them kind of take that other step. They've been so roller coastery, kind of up and down, that you just want to see them put 2 wins together at this point. And yeah, the division stuff is still there, because I think it's definitely not completely out of reach, but a loss here would put it out of reach.
Well, the other thing for me too, though, is when it comes to the home road thing. Yeah, again, of course you would rather have it be at home if you're a Bills fan, but the Patriots play in the same climate as you.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think Bills Mafia will represent well at a Patriots game, even in a playoff game, that there will still be a large contingent of fans there. It's different if you're like, say this was Miami, who's great, and you're playing for, hey, they got to come play outside against us, or we got to go indoors where they're comfy and cozy and warm. It would feel like the home field advantage thing mattered a lot. This one, it's like, cool, you're just playing in a different part of the Northeast outside, with both quarterbacks having to deal with the elements and both quarterbacks having very similar games in terms of they can run the football, they're tough outside, they both have cannons for arms, they're both accurate. Like, I don't know. I'm excited for this game. There's no doubt about it. Like, I want to watch it. It's going to be the 1:00 game that everybody hyperfixates on, and it's going to get the big screen for me, right? It's not going to be a lot of channel changing on that one. It's going to be secondary screens that get the other games at 1:00. I'll have takeaways from it. I'm not saying don't listen to me and Brady Quinn and I on Monday, because this is largely irrelevant. I just think that the Bills are now at a spot where a collapse down the stretch would matter. If they just all of a sudden, if they lose to the Patriots and then they, again, what is it? Eagles and what's the other team? Browns,
Eagles, Jets.
Yeah, if they choked a game versus the Browns and they choked a game versus the Eagles and they lost 3 straight and you didn't feel overly confident and it went into the actual doldrums, sure. But as of right now, I don't think, basically what I'm saying is nothing is going to change my opinion that the Bills are the AFC Super Bowl favorites, that they should be viewed that way. I don't care how good the Patriots look. I don't care how good the Broncos look. I don't care if the Texans get in. Josh Allen should be the favorite. There is a material difference between who that guy is and every other quarterback in the field, and that includes Drake May, because Drake May has never played in the playoffs before. I don't care. If they beat you, I think it's embarrassing. I don't think that it's a good look. I don't think that you have a potentially once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here with Josh Allen to go into the playoffs and not have to face Lamar Jackson, not have to face Patrick Mahomes, and play Herbert with literally no offensive line. From a quarterback period, and maybe Drake May is going to be that guy. Maybe he is going to be a superstar. There is no Joe Burrow either. Another team that beat your guy's ass in the playoffs. So you can't have the first year of Drake May being a stud, be the year that he unseats Josh Allen and unseats you guys in the division. And then you're going to next year looking at it going, oh boy, how old's Josh? 28 or 27?
I think he might be 28. Let me double check that for
Either way, you saw it with Lamar Jackson this year
you. 29.
Okay, so he's 29 years old. And we saw Lamar this season, not the same guy. Allen's much bigger. He's way more of a physical force. And he's a much better passer than Lamar Jackson is. But Lamar looks compromised. And he is getting close to 30. And with Allen, how many times this season have you and I talked about the Bills' true identity is actually when he runs the football, when he feels like a threat with the legs and that he's trucking over somebody and he's talking trash with some linebacker because they went head to head and he wasn't afraid of it. That's Josh Allen. Can he make all the throws? Could he win a Super Bowl as a pure passer? Of course he could. I'm not writing him off by any stretch of the imagination, but his shelf life as the best quarterback in the NFL, which is what he is right now, it might not be as long given his style of play and the physicality in which he invokes. So, yeah, I'm not trying to sap this game for everybody. We should all be excited about football. But to me, there's way more at stake from what are we going to see moving forward in that Packers-Broncos game? Like, if I'm the Broncos, I want to represent against the Packers. And if I'm the Packers, I don't want to have another slip-up game where people are going, are you good? How great is Allen? If I'm the Lions, there's way more at stake for me because, A, I'm trying to get in the playoffs at all, but also guys like me are shutting the window because they're saying, oh, now Brian Branch is hurt? Who are you going to be able to stop? Now you're facing the Rams? No way. You beat the Rams, all of a sudden people are going like, oh, wow, you could beat anybody in the playoffs. Like, this is a completely different story. If you're the Chargers, you got an opportunity to put away the Kansas City Chiefs, to cement all doubters. If you're Kansas City, you're fighting for your playoff life. Like, when I'm going through this, there's just more teams on the docket that actually have more to play for than the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, even though on the surface, that would seem like the biggest game of the weekend. Anyway, all right, what did we miss?
Yeah, so we had out west, we had an interesting, I'd say, kind of not conversation, but Adam Foote, head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, had some interesting thoughts, I'll say, about kind of the Quinn Hughes situation, and bigger than that, the Canucks in general and their kind of where they're at with some of their veterans, and there's been a lot of speculation about they're going to potentially move out some players.
No, but this is about Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes included.
No, this quote is about Quinn Hughes.
Right.
So let's play it.
I think when I've been around things like that, you're not talking about it. You're not, you're trying not to think about it, but it's there. And you can feel it certain days more than others. I can feel it certain days more than others, and these guys are human. They can feel it. It can affect, for sure, a locker room. I have to give the guys credit. Like, they're in a tough spot hearing the noise, and they keep coming to work every day and keep doing their job, and they're pros. That's what they're supposed to do. But to answer your question, they can hear it, and it probably affects some players more than others. But like I said, I give them a lot of credit for the way they handle it, coming to work, try to win hockey games, and do their job.
So I do think it's funny that he's trying to give them credit. Where he's like, hey, they're coming to work. It's like, you're dead last in the Pacific. Yeah, guys want to get paid their money. They're showing up at the facility. You're not forfeiting games. That's nice. Good for them. The millionaires are showing up to get paid the money. I don't really care about that. I love how honest this answer is. Yeah. And again, this kind of gets to this is sort of the same stuff that I talk about with Nylander, and it's the same stuff that I gripe about all the time, which is, to me, teams should not be that afraid of transparency. And Adam Foote is a Stanley Cup winner. He's like, his resume is bulletproof. So he does have a little bit more credibility than other former players or other coaches would have in a similar spot. I think the traditional line of thinking is, don't really say anything about this, just shut it down immediately. and just go, no, we're not worried about that. Quinn's a part of our hockey team, and we know what kind of player he is and how committed he is to our group, and I'm not going to answer any more questions on that. That's the move, is always just push it aside, Make it seem like it's absolutely nothing. Adam Foote takes the opposite and honest approach, which is, man, we're at the epicenter of trade talk right now. We've got a one-of-one. You are a Canucks fan right now. You might never see a player as good as Quinn Hughes play for you again. That's on the table. He's that good. I've seen some people kick around fake Leaf trades for Quinn Hughes, and I go, yeah, I don't really know what you would leave off the table in order to acquire him because he is that good. This is a devastating situation as a fan. And to me, sometimes it actually makes you feel better knowing that you're not going crazy or that you're getting gaslit by the team that this is no big deal, only for you to get little leaks and murmurs from other people that are around the team that one of the faces of the coaching staff says, no, guys feel it. It's obviously in our room. It trickles in. It impacts guys. But, hey, they're just trying to do their job. They have to deal with it. It's yet another challenge, but that it's very real. And to me, that actually takes pressure off of the organization and puts it more squarely on Quinn Hughes. And that's why you would put it as like, well, do you really want to do that? If I'm them, I'm going, what do we got to lose? What do we got to lose? This guy, I watched a clip of Ryan Whitney this week say he's calling Tom Fitzgerald Fitzy.
Yep.
If you're Quinn Hughes and you want this noise to go away, all you have to do is say, no, I'm firmly committed to this place and I want to be here. And actually, we're working on a contract extension. I believe on what they're doing and I'm working with the team on what the step forward is, like blah, 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 blah. I don't think that Adam Foote needs to be responsible for basically helping Quinn Hughes cover up what is a very big story in that market. And so and here's the other thing. Yes, am I talking about it today? Sure. But does this make the issue worse, or is this like, I kind of think this actually helps kind of calm things down in a very weird way. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know Vancouver's pulse as much as my own market. And if you're a Canucks fan, you're listening to this, you can tell me otherwise. But I would just have to think that coming out of this, it doesn't feel like this is getting clipped and thrown everywhere as it's a doomsday. It's the worst. It's awful. You're kind of just accepting the reality of what the situation is, and it's helping you process what comes next.
Yeah. No, I think it gives the players a little bit of relief, like you said, too. Like, our coach is with us. He's seeing all this.
Yeah.
He's not trying to hide away from it. He's going to be in the locker room with us, understanding what's happening with the players, and I think that will give them a little bit of relief. Like I said, it is interesting, especially with the situation last year with JT Miller and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of those
They're
guys
just stuck in the drama, and maybe there's some
Exactly.
exhaustion. This is like, when you have 2 years in a row where it's this much drama, and not to say that they're not feeling the immense weight of losing a player like this. Like, it doesn't matter what trade you make for Quinn Hughes. You lose.
Yeah.
You are a loser as a fan because you don't get to show up to the rink and watch this guy play. And when he's on your team, you feel like you've got a genuine one-of-one cornerstone on your blue line. But I do wonder if there's a bit of fatigue from their market with all the volatility, that it becomes a situation where, like I see this with my friends and myself personally, is there's so much turmoil politically. You've been through scandals and elections and debates that eventually you start to hit a wall and you go, I don't even want to hear any of this. Like, I don't care who's doing what, which sucks, but it is, I think, a reality. And that maybe is what Canucks fans are dealing with right now. What's next?
I'm going to jump into some NBA. We got the OKC Thunder won their quarterfinal matchup last night. Not much of a game there. The Phoenix Suns didn't put up much of a fight there. I think it was a 50-point game at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But they're on an unbelievable start. 24-1 record, ties the 2015-2016 Warriors for the best 25-game start in NBA history. It feels like they're on their way to starting a dynasty. A lot of people are talking about that. So I wonder if you think that the OKC is getting enough credit for what they're doing, or if people are just kind of, accepting kind of where we're heading.
So Armin sent this, and I want to hear what he has to say. Armin, turn your mic on. I know you're in the studio.
Hey.
Yeah. I want to know, so when you were thinking about this, I'm guessing that you actually do think that it's underrated.
No,
No.
I don't. I think I keep hearing people say it's underrated. But I think the truth is that it's just not capturing people's attention long enough.
But that's underrated.
But not under discussed. I think what I meant by getting enough credit was my question really. Is like, are they getting enough credit? I think they are, because I think the smartest basketball people, or like the media in general, is constantly harping on it. But the average fan might not be just as enthused. I know I should be more enthused than I am, to be honest. Like, I remember hating on the Warriors. I don't know if I feel that same hate towards this OKC dominance. It's more so closer to apathy. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Here's what I would say. I think that they are underappreciated and under-discussed. Because, like, even when you're talking about the smartest people in NBA media, that's a tiny little echo chamber Twitter bubble that you're in as a hardcore NBA fan. So, yeah, you're going to see Tim Legler give them their flowers. And you're going to see our guy Steve Jones break down their film. And Zach Lowe discuss their dominance on his podcast. But to the greater NBA audience at large, one that is, I think, becoming actually a little bit more siloed from, like, it's not baseball level, obviously. People pay attention to the greater stories at league-wide, but they're a tough watch. Who wants to watch an Oklahoma City Thunder game? Because whoever they play, they beat them by 20 points. So what, you're going to turn in for the first quarter and watch OKC beat someone over the head? And not only that, you know what is even ruining it more is they didn't have Jalen Williams for the first big chunk of the season. The other night, they played the Utah Jazz, and I did tune in for the first quarter, okay? Like, I flipped it on because it was just there. And, yeah, I like to flip. And I hadn't seen any Jazz, and I was like, all right, I'll watch a little Thunder Jazz, whatever. They didn't play Shea. They don't have Caruso in the lineup. They were missing, basically, when you look at their injury report, they were missing Topic. Oh, they were missing Hartenstein. They just basically they took off 4 guys that are probably going to play major minutes from them in the postseason. And yes, I know it's the Jazz, but they beat the crap out of them. It was over in the first quarter, and the only thing we got from that game was the head coach of the Utah Jazz yelling at his players to try harder. And I went, man, those guys are so out-talented. What do you expect from that? Like, is this the spot that you really want to use that bullet? I think they're underappreciated because no one wants to really accept the reality of the situation, which is that they are head and shoulders above everybody else in the NBA, and that really the only Thunder games that you want to tune in for are, I guess, maybe the Lakers now, because they've been doing enough with Luka and Austin Reeves that you feel as though they would at least have a puncher's chance. Although, like, if you're talking about a team that's perfectly designed to slow them down, it's the defense of the Thunder and all the different wing players they can throw at them. And I don't think any person, including Armin, thinks that in a game 7 or a series, 7-game series, that the Oklahoma City Thunder would lose 2 games to the Lakers. I would be shocked. If anything, if that series went beyond 5 games, I would be blown away and be saying, wow, good job by the Lakers. Last year, there were these growing pains with that team where they almost lost to the Denver Nuggets, a completely compromised group. I don't know if those growing pains are going to be there in the same way anymore. And also, Jalen Williams was hurt for that entire playoff run. We found that out after. It's like this guy was severely compromised, and we still won. We still beat the brakes off of all these different teams. Now they're fully healthy. Now they're even deeper. They still have all these assets in the cupboard. They've got the Clippers pick.
They could get the first overall pick.
They've got the
next
Clippers
year.
pick, and I'm pretty sure they have a Sixers pick that could end up being something this year as well. Like, it's not even just like they're loaded now. They're so loaded they don't even have to play their whole team, and they're beating up on groups. They've got a bunch of different assets so that if they ever wanted to make a trade, they could probably outdo anybody in the market. Oh, yeah, Dort isn't playing either. That's what I mean. It's like, it's crazy how many guys they can be down and still be the best team in the NBA and beat teams with, they do. They have one arm tied behind their back. There used to be these stories about Larry Bird where he would say, pick which hand I'm going to shoot with to defenders. But he was so much better than the guys that were defending him that he could say cocky stuff like that. And the Thunder are basically the same way. They go, hey, pick our starting 5. Hey, who do you want in our lineup tonight? You want Isaiah Joe? Like, sure, we'll put him in. We'll win. You know, it doesn't matter. Pick the 5. Pick the 5 from us, and we are going to dominate you. And people just don't care about that. I love a dynasty, and I think that it makes sports feel like there is a greater stake when you're in a championship or a conference finals, whatever it is, and one of the teams on the come up is trying to beat the guy, trying to beat the champion. You watch, part of the reason why boxing fell apart is we just didn't care about who the guy was at the top for a very long time. There was no Mike Tyson anymore. So with this, I think that people are a little confused because, one, it's a parity era where teams are supposed to be like way more flat, and a lot of the other teams are. And here you have this team that's still very much on the ascension, who is completely loaded, has a million different things. They're not capped out. There's no urgency to this. There's no like, whoa, OKC's got to get this one done because how long is it going to last? It feels like it could last, and these things never normally do go as long as we expect them to. But this one in particular doesn't feel like it has any kind of end in sight. They're going to be able to have multiple pivots. They could add a top pick in this year's draft. Is the Clippers pick even protected? I don't even know if it is. It might be top 3, but I don't believe it's a top 3 protected pick. I don't think it's got any protections on it whatsoever.
I don't think so either.
Like, they could end up with a future foundational player that adds to what is the most loaded team. And so the only time that you really want to watch the Thunder, and why I think they're underappreciated and underrated, and as much as I am a hater of them, is that there's a couple of regular season games a year where you want to watch them play. You want to see them play the Nuggets. You want to see them play the Rockets. And maybe you want to see them play the Lakers. That's the end of the list. Are you compelled by a Thunder Timberwolves game? Like, do you really think that the Timberwolves could beat them in a 7-game series? No, nobody does. Who cares? You want to see them play who's the best team in the East? The Pistons? You think the Pistons are going to knock off the Thunder?
Don't
You think the Knicks are going to knock off the Thunder?
But
No.
Bunk, so part of my thing is everyone was saying this about the Warriors too. Like, you told me the other day, you're like, chill on the dynasty. And I think that's part of my thing of they are getting too much credit because it's like, hold on. They've won one championship. They were one Tyrese Halliburton Achilles away from possibly losing that championship. And it's like, let's just slow the ropes. Let me see it happen. The Warriors lost too.
Fair, but let me ask you this. If you had to bet your life the next 5 years, and I said over under 2.5 Oklahoma City championships, which way would you bet your life?
You're saying till 2030.
Yeah, I'm saying
2.5.
5 years. So would you take the under? Would you say right now, as of today, I'm going to bank on the rest of the NBA winning?
I'm going to take the under.
Okay, so
I'm
you
thinking
think that
under.
over the next 5 years,
think they'll
what if
get
I said it
one
at 1.5?
I'll take the over.
Yeah, so
One more is kind of like,
okay, but if you win 3 championships in 6 years, are you a dynasty?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have to think about that. We're running out of
Okay,
time. We have 10 seconds.
I think you are. You're a dynasty. So what you just said is you would bet your life on them being a dynasty. I rest my case. We will see you next week.